I'm Jacob, but you can call me Applesauce, and for my first proper video on my new channel, I found it appropriate to talk about The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and if it still holds up to today's standards. My channel is finally up and running. No more waiting. But with that out of the way, on with the video. Picture this. It's 2006 and the Nintendo Wii releases alongside The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Both the Wii and the GameCube version. The GameCube version pleased many people, and it was highly praised. However, a lot of hate for the game arose from the Wii version of the game, and its weird motion controls. You'd swing the Wii remote to swing the sword, but Link would swing the sword in the same way every time. Because of the existence of the GameCube version, they had to be the same. No motion control exclusive moves or mechanics could be implemented into the game, because, well, that would be unfair for GameCube players, because the GameCube controller does not have native motion control support. Later on the 18th of November 2011, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword releases. Nintendo had now moved on from the GameCube, as now focusing solely on the Wii instead. This meant they now had complete liberty to create a new Zelda game on one piece of hardware, without having to worry about a second. They could utilise complete motion control focused gameplay, thanks to the Wii. And that's exactly what Skyward Sword is. The whole gimmick of Skyward Sword was its use of the Wii remote to do things like a special attack called a Skyward Strike, by lifting the Wii remote into the air to charge it up and swinging to release it, or rotating a puzzle piece to open the door, or aiming a bow with your hand, or even swinging the sword with different motions like diagonal, horizontal and vertical motions. The game was loved by many at launch. However, some people also said that the controls suck and it's too repetitive, and of course, it's too linear. But why? Well, firstly, you may think people must be super picky about Zelda games. Partly yes, and partly because they were right. The motion controls for swinging Link's sword and doing other actions with the Wii remote were quite janky and could glitch at times, with certain actions not working as well as they could have. The game was also very repetitive at times. For example, there's a boss fight against the Imprisoned, a big, tall, bean-like thing that has little bean-shaped toes. And you fight it a grand total of 3 times throughout the main story, with slight changes to the fight, but they're essentially the same, with the Imprisoned walking slowly up the sealed grounds, with a limb or two more each time. Another repetitive event are the Silent Realms. Basically, they're locations that you've been before, like Faron Woods, Elden Volcano, Lanayru Desert and Skyloft. There are 5 Silent Realms, one for each major location in the game. They take around 5 minutes if you know where you're going, but can be well over 10 minutes if you don't know where you're going, because you can die over and over from one hit from the menacing Guardians. No, not those ones. The other ones. Yeah, truly spine-chilling. Post-production, Jacob here. I was going to explain what happens in the Silent Realms, but the script dragged on for ages. So if you really want to know, go find another video, I guess. After you finish this one, of course. Alright, let's get back to it. Well, what about linearity? Alright, so when I first played Skyward Sword, I didn't see the sheer amount of linearity that is in this game. With Zelda games these days, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, they give you complete freedom to tackle tasks in any way you like. However, in Skyward Sword, most tasks must be tackled in a specific way, with set of non-combat related items, notably the claw shots, are only usable in extremely specific situations, and in the claw shots case, on vines and specific targets only. Most overworld and dungeon puzzles also have one solution and one solution only, so there's no cheesing puzzles here. No fun. Now that we've covered people's complaints, does anyone have anything good to say about this game? Well, they might have a few things to say, but I'll go first. When I first played this game, the best thing I noticed was where the game fails, it rises again with its excellent storytelling, characters, art style, general aesthetic, and many lore implications. I won't go through the whole story here, that's a topic for another video, but I'll explain a bit of the backstory now. So basically, the goddess Hylia gathered the surviving humans on an outcropping of Earth and sent it skyward, beyond the reach of the demonic hordes. The goddess joins forces with the remaining tribes on the surface to seal away the evil, restoring peace. After thousands of years, the surface world was forgotten by the humans above. Oh yeah, it's also the first game on the Zelda timeline. The extensive Zelda timeline, should I say. So, the characters in this game. Oh boy, here we go. This is going to be a long one. I won't mention the obvious characters like Link and Zelda, because they're in every game, but I will mention some standout new characters. I won't mention them all, because what's the point? We'd be here all day. There's Bruce, the flamboyant brute, who's a big bully, but turns out to be a massive softie, who is very loyal and one of Link's closest friends by the end of the game. There's Girahim. Alright, let me explain why Girahim is, in my opinion, the perfect villain. He starts off as a minor enemy that you fight as a boss in the first dungeon, and as you fight him, he escalates into insanity. By the time you fight him last, he is but a shadow of his former self, and has gone completely insane. Also, he makes amazing speeches, and has a very questionable tongue. Okay. Demise, of course, the ultimate showdown at the end of the game, the original big bad of the timeline, the one who started it all. He also has cool hair, and a nice looking text box, just like our next one. You know Fi, right? Or is it Fi? I don't really know. The annoying assistant that lives in the Master Sword that got toned down in the HD re-release because she's so annoying. What's that? What's the HD re-release, you ask? Oh, you didn't say that? Well, I'm going to explain it next anyway. What an epic segue. Anyway, back in 2021, 10 years after the game's release, as is tradition with Zelda games, we got an HD remake, this time on Switch, with updated controls, most notably optional joystick controls and motion controls, updated graphics, and a few quality of life improvements. As mentioned previously, Fi, or Fi, you tell me how it's pronounced in the comments, I don't really know, was toned down so she wouldn't bug you as much. All the footage you've seen today has been recorded from the HD version, and do you know why? Well, I'll let you in on a little secret in a moment. In conclusion, is Skyward Sword really worth playing in 2023? Yes! Only the HD version though. The original doesn't really hold up to today's standards, but the HD version, with its many improvements, certainly does. Either way, this game is an awesome Zelda experience, and I really do recommend it. But we're not finished yet. What about that little secret that I mentioned earlier? Sorry about that one, you know, hope it didn't scare you too much. Well, you see, Skyward Sword HD was my first ever Zelda game. I know, I'm not actually that old, so I didn't grow up with an N64 or a Wii or a GameCube as a child. But one day, in 2021, I was on the Nintendo Switch eShop, and I saw new release. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. My little 11-year-old brain was like, this looks like a good game, and I bought it, not knowing that one decision to buy that game would change my perception of video games forever, and eventually lead here, to you watching this video. But without me buying that game, I wouldn't be here, and neither would you. Well, that's pretty much it, and thanks so much for getting here to the end of the video. You really are a true fan. I didn't really want to mention it during the video, but please consider liking and subscribing because it helps me out so much. But I guess that's it. I have nothing more to say, and I'll see you next time. Bye.